Hi, and welcome back to the fourth video in a series of videos on Western Beef's cost of production calculator. In the previous video, we went through where you can find the cost of production calculator on Western Beef's website and just a brief tour through the various sheets and screens in that calculator. In this tutorial, we're going to show you how to actually enter data for an example ranch called ABC Ranch. So as you can see, I'm on Western Beef's homepage at wbdc.sk.ca, and I'm going to go to the economics button and click on current projects to navigate to the economics page on Western Beef's site. And I'm going to click on cost of production calculator to be taken down the page to where I can find the example ranch, ABC Ranch. So this is a fictitious ranch, and there is a fully populated calculator that you can download that has all the ranch's data in it. Plus you have a PDF document. I'm just going to click on it right now, and it shows all the pertinent information, both production and financial, for this ranch so that you can use when practicing and learning how to use the cost of production calculator. So I'm just going to blow this up for you a little bit. So you can see that ABC Ranch is a 200 head cow-calf operation that also raises replacement heifers, background steers, makes its own hay, and has pasture land for grazing. So all total, it has 5 enterprises. And as we discussed in earlier videos, you want to calculate cost of production for each of those enterprises because you want to determine which of them is making you money and which of them is losing you money. And that's called whole ranch enterprise analysis. So first off, I'm going to just scroll down. You'll see the cow-calf enterprise and a bunch of descriptive information. These are important dates in this first paragraph, talking about the breeding season, that the bulls are turned out July 1st, 2 weeks earlier for heifers, when the bulls are pulled for the breeding season, when the first calf was born, when the calves were weaned, November 10th, then that the cows are put out to bale graze from the 1st of November till February 1st, and then from February 1st till pasture turnout on June 1st, they're fed a combination of hay and barley supplementation. And then from June 1st till the end of October, they're out with their calves outside grazing on grass. There's some information on important numbers for the cows and the calf crop, and we're just going to now navigate to a blank copy of the cost of production tool that I showed you how to download in the previous video. And there's that welcome screen that kind of talks about the calculator, and I'm going to click on the About My Ranch tab. And on this ranch, right, we have a replacement heifer enterprise, backgrounders, they make hay, and they have their own grazing land. So that's identification of all your enterprises that are on your ranch. And which year is this analysis for? Let's do the 2014 calf crop. And what is your accounting year for ABC Ranch? We'll say January 1st, 2014 to December 31st, 2014. So that's all the information that you need to enter in the About My Ranch tab. Now we'll click on the cow-calf input form. It says the data required for the cow-calf enterprise is entered in this tab. So first off, you'll see calf crop year 2014. This is being pulled from your information that you provided right here. Anytime you see a cell or a little input green box with white writing in it, it means it's been auto-calculated. You won't be able to change this. If I try and press delete or anything on it, you'll come up with a warning that says this is protected and therefore read only. So all of these worksheets in this calculator are protected in order to prevent any sort of accidental deletion of important cells and calculations. So bull turnout date, let's just put step 1 important dates within this cow herd. So you're going to put July 1st of 2013. So we're putting information in for the calf crop of 2014. The breeding season happened back in the summer of 2013. Now you'll see 2 columns here, cows and heifers. If you don't have different breeding start dates for your cows and heifers, just put the pull the bull turnout date under the cows heading. But if indeed you say turn bulls out ahead of when they are with heifers, ahead of when they get turned out with cows, you certainly would like to report both those dates then. Your bull pull date is September 1st on your cows and August 1st on the heifers. The calving start date here, this information auto-populates based on a 282-day gestation. So it says 9th of April and 24th of March. Winter feeding start date. Now recall from the information that's November 1st and we want to put 2013. So it needs to be the winter feeding start date preceding the calf crop of 2014. So it's going to be whenever you started feeding in after grass is done being grazed. When did you start feeding in the fall before the 2014 calves are born? I'm just going to enter it in this one cell. I'm not putting it here as well because by this time the cows and heifers are being treated as one group. Now the next spring it is, and when is our first calf born? Well, typically it'll be somewhere between April 9th and 10th for a 282-83 day gestation. The actual calf birth date was April 5th, 2014 for ABC Ranch, and the heifer started calving 2 weeks earlier on March 22nd. Pasture turnout, June 1st, 2014. Weaning date, November 10th, 2014. And winter feeding resumes November 1st, 2014. That's all for step 1. Now we'll move into step 2. Enter breeding stock inventory details. So you can always hover every time you see one of these little red triangles in the corner of one of these data entry boxes. You can hover over it and there'll be a little tip on what's being asked of you. And they're not all over, but you'll see them in certain places, and that's what that's for. It's a little hidden comment for you to learn more about what's being expected and asked of you. So how many bulls were used for the breeding season? There was 8 bulls used. And I can just refer back to that document. You can print this off to have outside to learn how to use the calculator, and you'll see number of bulls used, 8. Number of females exposed, 186 cows and 35 heifers. So I'll navigate back, 186 cows, 35 first calf heifers. They were then preg checked in the fall, and how many were determined to be bred? 170 cows and 30 heifers. Then come January 1st, there's some time there where changes can happen. We had a little table available for you at the bottom of page 1 that talks about beginning and ending inventories for your breeding herd. So they have 7 bulls, so we've gone down 1 from the end of the breeding season. 170 cows, 30 heifers. So it's the same as what was determined to be bred in the fall of 2013. And then we have some ending inventory information here and some values, beginning and ending values for those breeding animals. So the January 1st count, there were 7 bulls, 170 cows, 30 first calvers. There was no females bought, but we did purchase 3 herd sires. And that information can be found by navigating to the next page. So purchases, 3 herd bulls, $3,900 each. The number of animals sold, there was 2 herd sires sold and 24 females sold. And 3 cows died. So put all that information there. Then there's going to be a year-end count, and you can see right here there's one of them says 0. And what has to happen is that under this transfer in column, as we progress and enter data in the replacement heifer enterprise, when there's females confirmed pregnant, those first calvers will show up here and end up in the end tally for this year. So that's all for this step. Now we'll navigate down to step 3, enter breeding stock market values. So you have to enter beginning and ending values for your breeding stock. And you want to do this because this information is going to be used to determine what's called breeding stock depreciation. So as your breeding stock ages, it declines in value and eventually needs to be replaced, replenished. You're going to be selling culls and bringing in new breeding stock. And there's a cost associated with doing that. And there's also changes throughout the year from the beginning to ending of the year where breeding stock can increase in value or possibly decrease in value. And so there's a bit of a calculation that happens behind the scenes from this information to calculate an annual depreciation or decline in value of your breeding stock. So from the table on ABC Ranch, scroll back up and show you that table. They have beginning inventory on a dollars per head basis and an ending value for those breeding stock animals. So just enter that right now, 3,500. And it's really up to each operation to put the numbers in that they feel comfortable with. You could say that they don't really decrease in value, there's no change, or you'll see here my first calvers, I say that they increase substantially, and I'll have further explanation as to why that is later on. So once that information's entered, that's done with step 3. Now step 4, moving on to the calf crop details. So this is for the 2014 calf crop. If we look back, there's information provided on ABC Ranch. They have 196 calves born. These are live born calves, and then the number of calves weaned, 93 steers, 96 heifers. So you can see that 3 steers died and 4 heifers were lost from the live calves born. And then 95 of these weaned calves were kept and the remainder were sold off the operation. We have some information here on average weights, and if I scroll down, we'll have information on those calves that were sold. So 33 were sold. There's some weight and price information, and 61 heifer calves were sold. Here's some average weights and prices on those. For any calves that were retained, you'll actually have to come up with a fair market value. You may have measured their weight, but you also have to credit the cows for weaning a live calf, even if they stay on the operation. Come up with sort of a non-cash revenue source to credit the cows. So best suggestion is to use your average weaning weight, then go to the market prices for the week that you weaned your animals and come up with a fair price for those calves. So we'll now go back to this Excel tool. So live bull calves, male calves born 96, 100 heifers. Purchases, this is if you buy cows with calves at side. So this didn't happen for ABC Ranch, but perhaps you might do that on your own operation. You're going to report those calves at this point. Deaths, we had 3 steers lost and 4 heifers, so 93 steers, 96 heifers weaned. And we have information that 60 steers were kept to background, and they averaged 535 pounds. And heifers that were kept back, 35 heifers averaging 510 pounds. And then on the sales information, we sold 33 steer calves at weaning, averaging 540 pounds and bringing $1.63 a pound. And for heifers, 61 sold at weaning, average of 515 pounds and a value of $1.43 a pound. So what you can do is either use the same price that you had for if they're very similar in weight. We'll just adjust these up slightly, say $1.64 for these calves and $1.45. So that's also, within reason. What do you think that your calves are valued at? And this is going to be the starting value of those animals in the backgrounding enterprise and the starting value of those heifers in the replacement heifer enterprise. So that's all the information that you need to enter for step 5. And you'll see here, if you keep back bull calves, intact calves that end up being herd bulls in your own herd, we have another enterprise set up in this calculator to track that cost and the development of those. If you have heifers that are being kept back solely for backgrounding, you would enter that information in this row right here. For ABC Ranch, every heifer that they keep back is simply for replacement needs. Step 6, sales and purchases related to the cow-calf enterprise. So sales of culls, bred cows, cull bulls, and any breeding stock purchases that happen. So we know that 24 cows were sold, and here you need to specify whether some of them were culls and some were bred cows, or if they were all one or the other. In ABC Ranch's instance, they were all cull cows, and the table shows 24 cull cows sold, 1,400 a pound average weight, and a price of 70 cents a pound, for a total of 23,520. So we'll put 1,400 pounds on average, and the gross received was 23,520. And 2 cull bulls sold, they averaged 2,000 pounds apiece, and a total of $3,200 revenue generated. The only breeding stock that was purchased off the farm was 3 herd bulls, and the total paid was $11,700, so that's $3,900 each times 3 bulls. Now we continue down to step 7. This is where you enter winter feed information, so winter feed and also bedding straw. And you'll see here there's in red, don't include salt and mineral here. You're going to add this in the expenses tab, and I'll just navigate to the expenses tab to show you what I mean about that. So in expenses, we'll be entering livestock related expenses and shared expenses, and so you'll see there's a table right here. We'll enter mineral and salt expenses, and that'll happen in a later video. So I'll navigate back to the CowCalf form and just show you a little bit about ABC's winter feeding ranch practice. So we read earlier that they are on bale grazing from November 1st till February 1st, and after that they're brought closer to the yard and fed 40 pounds a day of hay and 5 pounds per head per day of rolled barley till pasture turnout on June 1st. The homegrown hay is $65 a ton, and the barley has to be purchased from off farm at $180 per ton. They actually also had to purchase an additional 300 bales for $50 a bale to feed to the breeding herd. Free choice salt and mineral was also provided. The breeding bulls, and that also gets tacked on to the cows as a cost for winter feed, they're fed 45 pounds per day of hay and 8 pounds per head per day of barley, but for only 60 days of the winter feeding period. And they're turned out on June 1st, just like the cows, so they're on feed for 212 days. So using that information, we will be able to fully enter the winter feeding details into these two tables. You can see one says homegrown feed, one says purchased feed. So the hay is homegrown, the purchased feed is the barley. Okay, and we'll enter the information just like I'll just navigate to a fully populated table for simplicity. So bale grazing from November 1st to February 1st. In total, they used somewhere in the range of 500 bales, and the bales, 1,400 pound bales, $65 per ton. The math on that, I'm just going to show you the formula. So 500 bales, they're 1,400 pounds each, divide by 2205 to get the number of tons, and the price is $65 a ton. That's how we come up with that 20,635. Then from February 1st till June 1st, they're fed 40 pounds a day. It's 120 days. So it ends up being more than 400 bales, but 400 of it comes from homegrown, and the remainder is 300 bales that had to be purchased at $50 a bale. So that's 15,000 there, and then 400 bales here is 16,508. The bull's hay, 45 pounds a day, times 7 bulls times 212 days, get just under $1,970. On the purchase feed table, so we've already discussed that 300 bales of hay had to be purchased at $50 a bale. Then there was the 5 pounds per day of barley to the cows for 120 days. It's about $9,800. And then the bulls received 8 pounds per day of barley for 60 days. Ends up being $274 cost. And bedding straw, so 75 bedding straw bales were used for the cows and the herd sires at $25 a bale, so for a total of $1,875. Then you'll see right down here, feed cost per wintered female, $330. In step 8, we have to enter grazing information. So I'm just going to scroll down on this PDF document that's available from our website, and you'll read a little bit about the grazing. So the cattle are turned out to grass June 1st till November 1st for a total of 153 days grazing. 35 pairs are sent to a community pasture, and the cost of that is $5,400. Another 50 pair are over at a neighbor's land from June 1st to September 30th, and we pay 67 cents per pair per day. Then 2 herd bulls were put out with these cows for the breeding season July 1st to September 1st. Grazing on ABC's ranch is valued at $1 per pair per day. So this is their fair market value for a fully managed pasture and how they value the grazing on their own land. And you can see it is higher than what they rent their neighbor's land at. And $1.10 for herd sires. So using this information, it seems like a really small little paragraph, but it's all the information we need in order to populate the grazing table in step 8 of the Excel calculator, the cost of production calculator. So you'll see there's 2 different tables. One is for deeded grazing, so for unowned land, and the other is any grazing that happens on rented, leased, or community pasture, and you'll end up putting the actual amount paid, whereas this one is a dollar value. So it's an estimate of the market value for supervised and maintained pasture, and you'll see we suggest somewhere between 80 cents and $1 per pair per day, but it's really up to you and what you think grazing is worth in your area. So from June 1st to June 20th, there is 147 head, 47 cows grazing cow-calf pairs at the home yard, and there was 50 pair over at a neighbor's place. So 50 plus 147 is 197. That works out correct because we had 200 cows wintered and 3 lost during the calving season, so that was 197 females. Then June 20th, we dropped down to 112 head because 35 go to the PFRA pasture. We regained back those 50 head on October 1st, and the remaining 35 pair on October 26th as they leave the PFRA pasture. And we account for our herd bulls. They're grazing from June 1st till the end of October. There's 8 of them, and it's $1.10 a day. So it's 153 days times 8 times $1.10 is this 1346. And these are 20 days times 147 cows times $1 per pair per day is how you end up with this market value. The PFRA pasture in the information provided was $5,400 for PF fees. At the rental pasture was 122 days times 50 pair times 67 cents plus the 2 bulls during the 63-day breeding season. So there's all the information needed on grazing for the cow-calf enterprise. And I'm just going to scroll down and you'll see you have now entered all the production details for the cow-calf enterprise. So that's all that's needed for production information. We still need to enter financials, but that will be in a future video. And we'll move in the next video tutorial on entering information for the replacement heifers, which will be for the 2013 born replacements. So thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you at the next video.